do 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 do. Hey Josh, how you doing? First on, welcome. Hope you're having a decent weekend. Good evening, Jack. I'm currently smoking one of my LCS eggs, and in it, London Fog. Paolo, ciao, how you doing? So, a few things before we get into the Matches 860 pipes. I got to try this year's Sun Bear. Hey Downstairs, how you doing? You had a great Shabbat, thank you. Hope you did too. So this is the 1st of July 2020. Hey Ron, how you doing? And it's not bad. It's not the same. I mean, it's the same tobacco, it's the same DNA, but I really got to know it when the first batch tin that I had was already nearly a year old. So it makes a big difference. It was much smoother and much smoother around the edges, whereas this current new batch is a little bit rough around the edges. But still, a pleasant smoke. What pipe tobacco would you recommend for someone who's still new to pipes but who loves cigars? Hey Boris. Well, I'm a pretty enthusiastic, smoking the ghost, I haven't seen you for a while, hi. I'm a pretty enthusiastic cigar smoker as well. And I want to touch on that topic as well. There's been a very prestigious launch of a cigar this week here in the UK, a worldwide launch. Hey Badger. But there are several pipe tobaccos out there which have cigar leaf in them. And I'm sure many of the people on tonight, if you hang around, there'll be more people on, and you can ask. I'm not a big expert. I have to be honest, the cigar tobaccos that I've tried have never really delivered. If you're a cigar lover and you're trying to replicate that experience with, hey Daniel, and you're trying to replicate that experience, that kind of flavor, that kind of richness and tang in a pipe tobacco, my personal advice, other people might tell you different, my personal advice is don't bother. Just find tobaccos that you like, pipe tobaccos that you like for what they are. Because you're never, in my opinion, you're never going to replicate that experience. Hey Paul, there are two different genres and they each have their own place. There was a time when I wanted to reduce my cigar smoking or even stop cigar smoking, and I went through that same journey looking for a pipe tobacco which would give me that kind of experience, but I could never find one. So my advice to you is just find pipe tobaccos which give you a rich experience, not necessarily akin to cigars, but just gives you a rich experience. For me, one of those, which is sadly no longer available, but that was a lot of the McClelland tobaccos. The McClelland Virginias, a very rich and spicy and full flavoured tobacco, and it really sort of reached those spots that some other tobaccos can't reach. So that would be my advice to you, is just find tobaccos which give you a good experience, but not necessarily because they taste like a cigar. A cigar is a cigar, pipe tobacco is pipe tobacco. Salud, Alfonso, how you doing? Hey Maui, how are you? Yeah, Daniel, I'm aware. Certainly you can mention the make and give, who was it, Jack was it? the opportunity to search that out for himself. But I'm just giving my personal experience. I have tried them with cigar leaf in, and for me, they haven't been a success. I mean, there are various tobaccos which are called Maduro, or they have Maduro in their name. I think there's a McConnell, a Robert McConnell Maduro, I think. There certainly was a McClelland one, but obviously no longer available. And I would say, as Boris is saying as well, with what he's heard from his friends, is just go for a full flavored tobacco, but not necessarily with cigar leaf in it. You know, our palates are all different. I'm just giving you my personal experience. It may well be that you try a pipe tobacco which has cigar leaf and it gives you that cigar flavor and you're happy. Could be. Try it. You know, you got to try it for yourself. You know, I can't, you know, force on you my personal palate. You know, my palate is my palate, but I can share it with you, and you do as you will with that information. Have you tried? I'll come to that, Daniel, in a second. I did see your question a bit earlier, but I was answering some questions which were asked before. Hi, Snake. Have you tried Latakia, Jack, in your cigars? Absolutely, Maui. I couldn't agree more. I'm kind of wanting a cigar as well at some point, so maybe we'll light up a cigar a bit later on. Well, if you like a fuller flavour, Jack, maybe try some of the Latakia blends that are out there. They're a smoky, like a barbecue-y, smoky kind of affair. You can get some sweet ones as well. I would head you in that kind of direction. Maybe try and get some a pipe tobacco called Balkan Cecchini. Hey Tom, how you doing? Or any Balkan blend would be a good introduction to Latakia. Latakias, in the beginning, you might be put off by it, but I would urge you to persevere a little bit, and then you'll get to appreciate it. But I wouldn't go for a really heavy Latakia blend to start with. If you go for a Balkan blend, the Balkan blends are tempered a little bit. They have Virginia, they have Latakia, but they also have Orientals, sometimes some Perique, and all of those will just give you a nice cacophony of flavors in your mouth, and it'll give you a nice rich experience. Actually, I've got a very good tip for you. If you're in the States, order some Northwoods from Boswell Pipes. You won't go wrong with that. Trust me. Try that and see how you go. Dude Reviews, how you doing? Where are you based, Jack? Remind me, I can't remember. You've probably told me in the past. Oh, you're in Scotland. Well, there's plenty. In that case, I've got an even better idea for you. If you go onto any of the UK tobacconists, GQ Tobaccos, one of those, any of those, just order up some special Latakia flake by JF Germain, and try that. Get yourself 25 ounces of it, and 25 grams rather, and see how you like it. Let it dry. Don't fiddle with it too much because the Latakia in it is quite flaky, but rub it out gently. Let it dry. I would say let it sit for, once you've rubbed it out, let it sit for about 15-20 minutes, something like that, maybe half an hour. Gently load your pipe and smoke gently. See how you like. There's one in Edinburgh. You're absolutely right, Paul. The pipe shop in Edinburgh. Yep. I don't know if they do JF Germain's. Probably they do. Okay, Daniel. Let me come to your questions. So you asked about various Cuban cigars. So you've asked if Monte Cristo cigars, Cohiba, H. Upmann, Bolivar, all of those. And yes, I've enjoyed all of those cigars. Various sizes, various vitolas of all of those companies. Well, they're all made by Havana SA, but different blends, essentially. And I would say that my general go-to all-time favorite regular line cigar, not a limited edition or a regional edition, but just a regular line cigar, is probably the H. Upmann Connoisseur number 1. I've said this many times. I think my box, I've got maybe one cigar left in there. Currently smoking one of my own pipes, and I'm smoking London Fog, which is also one of my own concoctions. So, yeah, I have had H. Upmann cigars. I've had many H. Upmann cigars, more than I can remember. And the same with Monte Cristo. They're very different cigars. They're Cubans, but they're very different. So Cohiba, the Cohiba Bahike, they are very nice cigars, but they're very, very expensive, and they're often in very short supply. At the moment, I think they are to be had. About 6 months ago, you couldn't get one anywhere, unless you're prepared to pay big bucks. They are good cigars, but to me, I'm not going to go out to a shop and spend 100, 200 or 300 pounds on a cigar. It just doesn't make sense to me. Yes, it'll be a good cigar, but I'd rather, for that same money, get a box. Hey, Tony. Ingredients and proportions of London Fog. McClelland's Virginia Woods and Orlik Golden Sliced. My original first ever mix when I did it the first time was 50-50 proportion. Well, obviously McClelland's are no longer around, so Virginia Woods, I've only got, I don't know how many tins I've got left, but I haven't got that many left. So it's roughly 60-40, maybe even 70-30, with the majority part being Orlik Golden Sliced. The Virginia Woods, the flavour that you get, that sort of bit of the vinegary, that classic flavour that you get from McClelland still comes through, even if it's a smaller proportion. Well, the Bahike, the reason why it's so expensive and why it's so scarce there's two reasons. Number one, Cohiba is anyway more expensive because it's one of the premium brands of Havana SA. And they're also known for using the upper two leaves, the upper couple of leaves of the tobacco plant, which gives a much richer blend. I forget what it's called, the medio tempo it's called, yeah. The medio tempo, which is the uppermost leaves, which there's only a couple of leaves per plant, and only Cohiba uses that, apparently. I don't know if that's still the case, but certainly that was the case. So that's, and the Bahike is basically it works on that basis. It's even richer, and supposedly better leaf, more age, a richer blend. And they're just sort of an upper level of Cohibas, and they're very, very expensive, and they do taste good, but certainly you still get some batches which are not as good as others. When they first were brought out, I believe it was in 2010, they came out, and I've actually seen a pattern of this, is that when Habanos SA bring out a new line, even within an existing brand. So for instance, this week saw the launch of the Ramon Ayones limited edition for 2019, which is I'll show you some of those in a minute. So they were brought out this week, and very rich wrapper, almost a Maduro coloured wrapper, and I've heard very, very good reports. I'm going to be doing a first impressions at some point very, very soon, because I can hardly wait to try the cigar, and I want to do it on a video. What I find is that when they launch a cigar, the first batch of that cigar, hi Chad, is usually done with the best blenders, the best rollers, and they really produce a fantastic batch of cigars. A good example is the Talisman, which was brought out in 2017, a limited edition cigar. The Talisman was supposedly very good the first time around. I wasn't that impressed personally. I have got a video out there. I do have another Talisman which has been sitting since then, because I'm waiting for it to age a bit more. But they've actually continued producing the Talisman, which is actually I find it very disappointing, because they're still producing. In 2019, they were still producing new Talisman cigars, and they were selling them with a limited edition band saying 2017 on it. And there's no doubt that the 2017 original batch would be better than the 2019 batch. When they brought out the first 50 ring gauge Behike, that first year in 2010, that first batch was covered in tooth the first time round. It just showed how well aged they were. But the next sort of the future releases of Behikes, I don't think they've been as good. And I actually think it's a travesty that they're producing newer cigars but putting older bands on them, and that's really going to promote fraud, because what people are going to do is they're going to take the old boxes of, say, this Talisman pipe cigar, which will say 2017 on the box, and they'll smoke them up. Then they'll get a new batch from 2019 and take the cigars out, put them in the 2017 box, and sell them as 2017 cigars. And there's no way that anybody can tell the difference. So, I mean, you can tell it when you smoke it, but not when you're looking at it. So that's really, I can't understand why Havana Cigars are doing that. But that's a side issue. Hey, Neo stuff. Yeah, I mean, as I say, I've only had one Talisman, and I've got one more sitting in my humidor. We'll see, at some point I'll smoke it again. Hey, pictures and more. You've got hand-rolled cigars from a street vendor in Cuba. That's going to be a bit hit and miss, dude. You got to be lucky with those. The pre-Castro cigars, Daniel. A lot of the companies in Little Havana, in Miami, were people who originally created the brands like H. Upmann, Cohiba, Partagas, Montecristo, Romeo and Juliet. They were all originally independent companies who produced cigars in Cuba. When the revolution happened and Castro took over, he booted them all out and took over all of the cigar fields and took over Habano and created this umbrella of Habanos SA, and all of the brands are now government run. So when you buy a Cuban cigar, you're actually supporting a communist country. A lot of those people felt they had no choice, and they moved over to Miami, and they contend that those brands are still theirs. They were kicked out of their country, and their companies were essentially confiscated. So when you buy a Cohiba in America, you're buying it from the original company that was operating pre-Castro in Cuba. Now, if you can get H. Hartmann's and Montecristos, and you won't get Cohibas, and you won't get Trinidad's, but you'll get other companies which were pre-Castro, and those are worth a lot of money if they're in good condition. Mustard and pickles. The difference between a Cuban cigar and a Cuban sandwich: one's a cigar, one's a sandwich. The common denominator: they both come from Cuba, originate in Cuba. It's not a trick question. One is a sandwich and one is a cigar. Cheers. When it's Bellini pressed, quite right, chap. Well, dude, I've got one such cigar. Hang on. So this is officially a custom rolled cigar from Cuba. I got this maybe 2 or 3 years ago. I had a couple of them. I smoked one, and to me it smoked exactly like a non-Cuban cigar, like a New World cigar. And I challenged the person that I bought it from, and he insisted that it was a Cuban cigar. But I had 2 at the time. I smoked one, and then I just left the other one because I was rather annoyed. But there you go, you can never know. But if you want to see the new Ramon Allones, I received the last 2 cigars at GQ Tobaccos. This is the Ramon Allones limited edition, Edición Limitada 2019. It's a torpedo or pyramides. Really nice dark wrapper. It's quite a lumpy wrapper. And I was fortunate enough to get the last 2 in GQ Tobaccos. They're supposed to get another batch in about a month or so's time. But these were all launched on, when was it? Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday. And there's lots of, I don't think there's any, I haven't seen any reviews yet. So I'm really sort of itching to do a video. The wrapper is actually shining quite a bit. As I say, I'm chomping at the bit to smoke this cigar. And I wouldn't be surprised if the next batch that comes through won't be the same, won't be as good. You do find that on the limited edition cigars that you get darker wrappers. They tend to use darker wrappers for the limited editions. Sometimes it improves it, sometimes it doesn't. So I won't be smoking it during the live session, I'm afraid, because I want to do a proper recorded video for that. Yeah, my son actually went to Cuba not long ago. And guess what? Hey Tim, how you doing? He didn't bring me a single cigar. He says he loves me. I have my doubts. He sent plenty of pictures smoking cigars, but nary a cigar brought back. Hey Savinelli Mike, how you doing? Yes, Colombian cigars, plenty. The price of the Ramon Allones, I can't remember exactly. It was probably around the 25, 27 pound mark, 30 pound mark, something like that. But I think most of the companies who had them sold them out in their pre-orders. They sold very fast. In fact, I think they were sold pre-orders before the launch date. So GQ, for instance, he'd sold all his boxes pre-ordered, and when it came to the launch date on Thursday, I think it was, he had none to put on the site. He hasn't had them on the website because he didn't have any to sell. All the ones that he had all sold pre-order. He wasn't allowed to ship them until their launch date, which was Thursday. Well, Wednesday night, and then Thursday they started sending them. If I was not smoking pipes, what non-Cuban cigar would I smoke? Well, I have quite a few non-Cubans that I do like. I really like the Oliva Serie V Milanio, not the Maduro, the regular one. Exactly, Boris. It's pot luck. It's a hit and miss, as I said. I've tried Padron cigars. I tried the Padron 80th anniversary quite a long time ago. It was actually a really big-sized one. And I've probably said this far too many times, but it took me 3 sessions to smoke it, and I got a huge nicotine hit each time I smoked it. I would smoke them more, but you can get them here, but they're really expensive. But they're very highly regarded cigars. So the Serie V Milanio, I enjoy the Figurado, which is tapered at both ends. I enjoy the Robusto. I've got a box of Robustos here. I'm not sure how many I've got left. And I still say that nobody wraps a cigar, fills a cigar, rolls a cigar better than the non-Cubans. The Cubans still have a lot of catching up to do. Yeah, dude, that's why he sold out. His prices were the best in the market in the UK. I have tried AJ Fernandez as well. I mean, I went through a stage where I completely went off Cuban cigars a couple of years ago, and I only smoked non-Cubans for a while. I basically got very, very cheesed off because there was a period when so many cigars were blocked and tight to smoke of the Cubans. I just went over to the non-Cubans, and you know, I've yet to find a single blocked non-Cuban cigar. Isn't that a handsome cigar? Beautiful banding. The banding is so well designed for this particular cigar. Maybe I'll smoke one of these later. I mean, just the presentation, this beautiful ribbon, this personalized ribbon. The box is stunning. You know, with a tapered thing, you could use that as a humidor. You really could. You could use that as a travel humidor, stick a Boveda bag in there, and you're good to go. Some of the boxes of the New World cigars are stunning. The cigar boxes, the design on them are absolutely stunning. When I first started smoking cigars in earnest, I used to collect the boxes because I thought they were gorgeous. And then I ended up giving them to my kids. They put their little knickknacks in them. But I just didn't have room for them because I was accumulating them too quickly. Yeah, this is one of my recent pipes, which is available. A lovely pot, unstained. Really, really gorgeous pipe, very clean. And this one is also a beautiful billiard, also available. Lovely pipe. Both of them will smoke like freight trains, I guarantee that. During that period, Daniel, when I smoked a lot of non-Cubans, I smoked loads of different ones. I just don't remember them. I smoked lots of different brands. I've still got the remnants of that collection of cigars in a Tupperware box. Yes, Tim, thank you very much. I like it. That's why I do it. It's really nice. I did the same on the cigar that I'm smoking now. And this one as well. The Oliva V, the Oliva V Pyramid, I used to smoke that a lot, and then I discovered the Milanio, and then I couldn't go back to the V. The Melania is just so much better in my opinion. I don't like Rocky Patel cigars. I've smoked quite a few of those and I ended up giving them all away because they're just too peppery for me. Thank you, Simplex. Solomon Cigars, certified kosher. Well, to me, that's just a gimmick. There's no food in there, so what needs to be kosher? The only time I suppose you could consider maybe that it has to be kosher is if it's a flavored cigar. But even then, I think it's a bit of a stretch. My father's cigars, I smoked a fair few of those as well. I think it was Mon Bijou, possibly? Bijou? Something like that. Yes, they have to ritually slaughter them, Chad. Le Bijou. I've said this many times, Daniel. I smoke pipes much more than cigars these days, but sometimes you need to smoke something that only a cigar will give you the right amount of enjoyment. And I say, like I've said many times, when I've finished a long day's work, perhaps I've had a long wedding that I've worked at, and I just need something to really hit me immediately. And a cigar, it's got to be a cigar sometimes. Yeah, again, Paul, it's if you ask me, it's just a gimmick, or people who are being super holy, but it's unnecessary in my opinion, because all the gum that's used to glue the wrapper is all vegetable based anyway. Okay. But I appreciate the input, Paul. Okay, I want to show you a couple of pipes. I added a couple more Stanwell Pipe of the Year pipes to my collection. And it's kind of crept up on me without me even realizing it. I've become a bit of a collector. I never used to consider myself a collector. I still do buy pipes. If I like them, I keep them. If I don't, I sell them or pass them on or trade them or whatever. But I never considered myself a collector of a particular brand. I did have of some brands more than others because I liked them, but predominantly because, for instance, Ian Walker's pipes. Hi, Eric. Northern Briars. He's a UK-based pipe maker, so I was happy to support a fellow Brit pipe maker. And his pipes all smoke very well. I bought a lot of Boswell pipes when I smoked unfiltered pipes because they smoke very well. I bought a lot of Soren Refberg pipes because they smoke well, and I liked his designs. But these Stanwell pipes, which I've been accumulating, I think I'm collecting them because I like the way they look, the Pipe of the Year pipes from Stanwell, but I also like the way they smoke. They smoke very, very well. And even the 2021, which is not made in Denmark, I was really surprised. It smokes very well, pretty much from the first bowl. Smoked very, very well. Anyway, so I added another couple to the herd, which I received on Friday, and I've just been doing a little bit of restoration on them. The restoration is too strong a word because they were in pretty good condition, but I'm actually recording a video of it, of the whole process. But what I've done, this is the first one. This is from 1995 Pipe of the Year, and what I've done with this one is I've sanded the whole rim, taken it right down back to the briar. You can see there's still a little bit of darkening there, but I took it right down to the briar and gave it a very, very light stain, and then I gave this a stain which is very similar to the original stain, and that just needs a buff now, and that'll be ready to go. So that's the first one. They were both in pretty good nick, so I would say I tidied them up rather than restored them. And this one is the second one. This is from 1999, and pretty much did the same thing. So sanded back to the briar. This one, the smooth area goes over the edge, which is very nice. This is interesting. It's got like a silver nut bolt on the end of it, which is, it doesn't quite fit, but that's the design. I've looked it online, and they all are like that. That's the actual design of the pipe, but it's interesting. So again, here I've also given it a stain, and all it needs now is polish up. Obviously want to bring out the grain there on the smooth parts, and I have to decide still whether I'm going to shellac it or just buff it. We shall see. So those two hopefully will be in my rotation soon enough. So this is the one that I did most recently before that. This one is from 2001, and two of the ones which I had beforehand I actually sold, and I kind of regret selling them, but that's done and dusted, because it was before I kind of realized that I was really getting into these Stanwells. This is a pot style one which I got from Danish Pipe Shop, and this one is unmarked, it's unstamped for some reason. We don't know the history of it, but it's definitely a Stanwell, and it's kind of the same ilk as those ones. I restained this one as well, and that one smokes very well as well. I'm trying to remember if I have any more. I do not recall. Alright, so this is the current year one. This is the 2021, and it smokes very, very well. So we're at 5. I think that's what I've got at the moment. Yeah, I think that's it for the Stanwells. Well, the Stanwells, Eric, they've got huge influence from the really high-end Danish carvers. So if I was to look up on the internet these pipes of the year, the vast majority of them will have been designed by either Sixten Iversen, Lars Iversen, Tom Eltang, Paul Ilsted. All of the big greats in Denmark will have designed the template, the original pipe, which they then mass reproduced. Most of them will have been designed by the greats of Denmark. So when you say you like the shaping, there's a good reason for that. Hey Jeffrey, how you doing? I do need to do a video of all my pipes that are currently available. My website is not up to date, so I've got to get down to that as well. But you know, I produce the pipes quite regularly, and they don't always sell straight away. So I've got a box next to me on the floor with what I've got. So I need to do a video showing the ones which are available. And then hopefully in the not too distant future I'll have them regularly updated on the website. Armchair. I'm not familiar with that channel. What's the name of the channel? Just Armchair? Or is it Armchair something else? Yeah, this is one I also did last week. Armchair Piper, okay, I'll have a look. This is a Soren Refberg, one of the most beautiful Soren Refbergs I've ever seen. Picked it up on eBay, sanded it right down to the briar. Beautiful grain. Stunning grain, a couple of fills, but still a stunning pipe. Amazing grain. And a plateau on there which I restained black. It's well used, you can see that. A couple of hairline cracks there. Cheers, Eric. Interesting shape. It's got square sides but rounded oval in the middle. Just a really, really nice pipe. A very well put together pipe. Really like that. And it's so far, I've smoked it once and it smoked okay. Alright, so I wanted to talk about the Matches 860 pipes. As you know, a good while back, when John Matches 860, when he passed, I had the idea of a bunch of artisan pipe makers make a tribute pipe to go into an auction to raise funds for John's family. And we managed to put together a really nice bunch of artisan pipe makers. I think there's about half a dozen. Mike at Briar Blues also really did an amazing job and got Radice to make 2 pipes as well. I'm going to show you all the pipes again soon, in a minute. At the time I felt my thunder was stolen a little bit when the Pipe Nook introduced the idea of the and he ordered up these Friday Savinellis, but in the end I realized that it's all for the good. Makes no difference. First of all, there's a difference. The pipes that he was doing are factory pipes, whereas these were artisan pipes. And truth of the matter is, the more that's raised for the family, the better. Ultimately, that was the whole point. So I'm very sort of pleased that the Pipe Nooks, that Eddie's pipes went well. A lot of people have been doing videos showing their pipes, which have started to arrive on people's doorsteps in the last few days. I feel a bit bad now that I didn't order one. I didn't at the time because I felt that I was contributing by making a pipe, which difference being is that 100% of the funds which is raised from this auction will go to the family, as opposed to whatever percentage was done by Eddie, which is absolutely fair enough. Eddie's, he's put a lot of work and effort into getting that organised through Savinelli, and he's entitled to make some money on it. I don't have a problem with that at all. And then COVID kicked in. COVID hit, and at the time, people were very worried about their income. People were losing jobs. Hey, Pipes and Bees, thank you. And kind of kept putting it off because we just weren't sure when the right time would be to do the auction. And last week I was contacted by one of the pipe makers who donated a pipe, and he said, send the pipe back to me. He'll pay the postage, send the pipe back. It's kind of too long in the tooth now. It's all past. It's off the burner. It's irrelevant now. And whilst I understood him fully, at the same time, I said, well, look, I've got to ask everybody. I've got to take people's opinion. The bottom line is, I mean, I didn't say this to him, but at the end of the day, he donated the pipe. It's no longer his pipe. But he donated it for a purpose, and therefore, unless that purpose comes to realization, then I guess he's got a claim to have that pipe back. And I'd be okay with that, absolutely. They're certainly not my pipes, that's for sure. So far, I put out a video on Friday on my usual drive, and I mentioned it as well. And so far, I think everybody, to a man, has said, go ahead with the auction. So I said I would talk about it tonight as well and take an impression of all the people who join us tonight and see what they think. So I would appreciate your vote. I can see there's 40 people watching. So I'd appreciate your vote on whether to go ahead or whether to cancel. If I do go ahead, I'll probably do it in about a week's time. Hey, Andrew. Yes, Samuel, hi. He's got the pipes in and he started shipping already. A lot of people have already received theirs. Yeah, Chad, I was thinking that too, because now that those pipes are going out, it kind of brings it back to the people's imagination. So if I am going to do it, it certainly has to be now. I agree with you there. Hey, Raymond, thanks for joining. Go ahead with the action, yeah. It'll be awkward to wait. It's already been, how long is it since matches passed? When was it, in January? It's already awkward. That's why I wasn't sure what to do. It becomes more and more awkward, I guess, yeah. Well, look, if the guy, I think it would be very awkward if I did it because people have seen the pipes, and if one was missing from the auction, I think it would put that guy in a really bad light. I wouldn't do that. Everybody who invested their time and donated a pipe did so altruistically, and I'm pretty sure he did it with good intentions, the same as everybody else. But if it's just going to sit on my shelf, he's absolutely entitled to get it back because it's doing nothing. I certainly have no right to have a claim on it, and I don't want to. That's why I'm talking to you all about it now, because I just want to do the right thing. Anyway, so let me show you the pipes. So I'm just taking them out of this bucket, which has been sitting on my shelf. I'm taking them out in no particular order. So this is the, yeah, that's why it makes sense to do it now. If Eddie's shipping his, then it makes sense for me to coincide. So this is Jordan's pipe. Perfect timing, Jordan. This is the 673, his version of the 673. And it says on the bottom, M860. A nice sandblast, nice rounded bowl. Beautiful swirly stem. And bear in mind, these are all interpretations of the Friday Savinelli. They're not going to be identical, they're interpretations. So that's Eric's one, that's Jordan's one. This one is Eric Weaver's, the Prairie, not the Prairie, the other one, what's his name? Sea Smokes, excuse me. That's from Sea Smokes, from Eric. A little bit of plateau there. And there too, it says M860. Sea Smokes, yeah. That's another one. Bit more of a chunky one, really good in the hand, superb in the hand, this one. It's got a little bit of a bowl coating. And this one is actually very true to the shape in terms of it having this triangular curved shank, which was what the 673 KS has. Yeah, Tim, I agree. I totally agree. I fully understand where it's coming from. But if we do the auction, I think it has to stay in. That's my personal view. This was my entry. And this one obviously being a 9mm, drilled dead center. Let me just check what each one of these is. This one's also 9mm. This one isn't, if I remember correctly. No, this one's not. And then we have one of the Radice ones. And these weren't 673s necessarily, they were just contributions from Radice. And they did a bang up fantastic job. Beautiful pipes. These are non-9mm. This is as close as you're going to get to Castello without paying Castello prices. There we go, Radice. I think if Radice would have stamped these M860, those would have been really exceptional. And this is the second one with the tan stain. It's the same shape pipe. It's like an author shape. Beautiful pipes, both of these. So those are the Radices. And we've got one more. Oh, actually, well, let me do the last pipe. And this one is from, I think this is Jason's. Yeah. This is Jason Mouton, previously known as the Bayou Guru. Beautiful brindle stem, sandblasted, stained black. This one's also got the shape of the shank, very, very true to the original shape. I have to say that the button on this one is fantastic. Beautifully done. So that's Jason's. I think he also put M860 on it. Well, it's M and 60. I suppose he didn't have an 8, but that's his version of M860. And then this was a really neat little addition. I got in touch with Chris Morgan, and I asked him if he would contribute a pipe. And he said that he's getting into forging metal things. And he sent me this fantastic knife. I asked him to sign it as well. So this is razor sharp, very, very sharp, hand forged. So this is a flake knife. So if you've got a plug, a cake to cut your tobacco, that's what this is. Personalized, signed. This is his logo here, which is stamped in, forged in, and he's written on it for Matches 860. A very collectible piece. And he's done it in red, just in case you cut yourself. Yeah, that'll shave you, no problem at all. So that was that. And oh yes, I forget. This came with that was a previous version. Okay, and this was donated by Mike at Briar Blues. This is an original Dunhill pipe tool. So there's a tamper and a pick. That's original Dunhill with a white dot, and it says on it Dunhill there somewhere down there. So that was these are the items going in the auction. I was very, very chuffed, I must say. I did contact a lot of pipe makers. Some said they couldn't for whatever reason, which is absolutely fine, but these are the pipes that we got, and they're fantastic. They really are a fantastic bunch of prizes, if you want to call them, but for the auction. And just phenomenal. And they really did, did themselves justice with these pipes. Fantastic looking pipes. So there we go. Mike actually, well anyway, I'll leave that for another time. Did somebody say Mudge? Where's Curmudgeon? I didn't see him come in. Did he come in? Oh, dagummit, right. Dagummit. Pictures are more, you're stirring it, aren't you? I would never publicize that name, because it would just put the person in a bad light for no real reason. I think it's perfectly justified. If it doesn't happen, then he's justified to get it back, but I think it has to come back. There's absolutely no point trying to guess who it was, because I'm not going to tell you, and I think it's not very charitable to get into that kind of conversation. Hey Tony, how you doing? Yeah, the knife is pretty amazing. Very, very sharp, I can tell you that. Yeah, it was me. Okay, it was me. Absolutely. I don't mind taking the rap. Cheers, Ron. I need coffee as well. There we go. I come prepared. It wasn't put in so much as a demand. It was just, if it's not going to happen, they wanted it back. I'd have to look back and see what they said. But it was done in the nicest, politest possible way. I don't think that person was being ungenerous or anything like that. Just didn't want his pipe sitting on a shelf doing nothing, and that's fair enough. I think if it goes ahead, I think he'll be happy for it to go in. I hope so. So I think we could formally announce, because everybody seems to be very for going ahead with the auction. So I think we just need to set a time and a date. Possibly here in the UK, next weekend is bank holiday. So that's not a bad time to do it from my perspective. I don't think it'll make a difference here in the UK, because I don't think there's many people in the UK who will pay the prices. No disrespect to my UK brethren, but they're not heavily invested in spending on pipes like people around the world are. We're all poor. Yes, Tim, I agree. So do we think Saturday night just do it London calling, midnight, UK time, this time? Does that make sense? Canals. Okay, I think that's what I'll do. I think that makes the most sense. I think I'll go for next Saturday night. I'll do a separate video showing the pipes again and announcing it. I can't remember if I stamped mine with anything. Hang on. No, I haven't stamped mine, but I will. I'll stamp mine M860 as well. In fact, I'll do it now. No worries, Cliff. Actually, I think I'll make this an exceptional occasion, and I'm going to put 3 stars on this pipe. I wouldn't necessarily rate it as a 3-star pipe, but I'll do it because it's going to be a one-off. How about that? I've never done a 3-star pipe yet of my own pipes. Well, you'll have to put in a pretty heavy bid for this pipe. This pipe has got already a pre-bid from the day I showed it. A very, very steep bid. I'm not sure if I've mentioned it already. Right, so I guess I need to put LCS on it first. I've been trying to get a proper stamp made because the LCS Bryce ones haven't worked out, but I've got a logo made and I've basically in touch with a company in America and I'm waiting on getting that sorted. Well, I mean, for everybody that's here, the announcement is that it will happen next Saturday night. That's now fixed and agreed. But I will have to do a separate one because not everybody watches the lives because they go on for a while. Nearly there. Yeah, so absolutely. That's going to be in the video. I'm going to be asking people to publicize it. So all of you, if you do videos on your channels, please announce it for next Saturday night, UK time, midnight. So whatever that time is, wherever you guys are, that's when it's going to be. JKLM. Where is my red marker gone? I don't know. See you, Tim. Thanks very much. 8.6, almost there. All right, here we go. All right, so that's the pipe, and we have LCS 20, 3 stars. One of them's got a trail as well, and M860. So there we go. Let's get my pipe relit. Speaking of these Stanwells, what do you reckon? Do you think you see the difference between that one and that one? That one's a lot shinier because it's had shellac on it, and this one will shine up a bit if I wax it. What do you reckon? Should I do the shellac? No, there's no stinger in those. Irish tea, good for you. Well, the auction pipes are going to be done live here next Saturday night. So we're going to auction them. So hopefully we'll get a good attendance, and we'll literally auction. People will put their bids in the comments. I'm a milky tea man myself most of the time. Occasionally I'll have a black tea, but generally I'm a milky tea man. I'm a Brit. Yeah, absolutely, dude. What's happening in Florida? Have you got a hurricane there or something? I'm not up with the news at the moment. Oh, Phil will definitely be getting a notification on that. It will be sold in pounds, but we can do the conversion there and then. Yeah, anybody can do a conversion online. It's easy enough. Storms. So what have you guys been getting up to this weekend? What are you all smoking? I'm still smoking my London Fog. £1 English is not 1.03 US. I can't think that's correct, unless things have changed since the last time I looked. Maybe it is. I don't know. Really? The difference was much more than that. It was like 125 or something not so long ago. Wow. I didn't realize that the dollar had caught up, or that the pound had gone down so much. $131. That makes more sense to me. Yeah. So, just to give you an example, $100 is £76, 84 euros, and 131 Canadian. So, yeah, I was closer. It's around 130ish. So it's a good time for us to buy in dollars, but not so good for you guys to buy in pounds. Jimmy. Yeah, I know. OCD, absolutely. But you guys have always been behind on the dollar, haven't you? Always. The Matches 860, the Friday Savinelli, the ones that the Pipe Nook did, they're exactly the same as the regular 673 KS, but you'll have that all-important stamp on it. And he's done a limited run of 860 pipes. I didn't realize he was doing that many. Yeah, when the exchange rates are good, that's the time to jump on it and just spend. I remember when I first got into photography, the dollar was even lower. The American dollar was even lower. And I bought all my equipment in America. I've got cousins who live in America, in New York, and they're very close to. There's you've got is it B&M camera or photo? There's a huge camera place, photography place in New York somewhere. But there used to be, I think there still is, a place called Focus Camera, B&H, that's the one. But so there used to be one called Focus Camera on 13th Avenue, and I bought a lot of gear there. I bought a lot of my lenses there, and the price was, I would say, about a third less than I would have to pay here. I think B&H is possibly also on 13th Avenue, I'm not sure. 4.45 checks to quid. Well, it's been pretty consistent. It's always been between 4 and 5, at least for a long time. Yeah, 860 of them were made, limited run. Yeah, your comments are coming through, no problem. Have I missed some? Out of all the Stanwell pipes, Daniel asks, which do I prefer? Well, these ones I haven't yet smoked yet, so it's difficult to say. But obviously this is the one I've smoked the most of, so I'd have to say that one. I didn't get a matches pipe because at the time I was busy with my own matches enterprise, and I felt I was contributing enough. But I kind of, from a collecting point of view, and the fact that they're limited run, and the fact that it is, after all, the Friday Savinelli, I would quite like to have one, but I don't know if I'll buy one or not. He only had 50 left. Wow. So he sold 810. Good for him. Holy moly. I know at the time people were sort of giving him bad press for making money out of Matches passing. I actually don't hold it against him whatsoever. He's done the legwork. He's done the work. He's a businessman. He's done a lot of work to bring it to realization. People in the past have tried with Savinelli and they weren't interested. So he got it off the ground, and he deserved to earn some money for that. And he's given part of that to the family. So I say kudos to him. Good luck to him. Part of the proceeds, not all of the proceeds. Eddie's certainly making some money on it. I certainly hope he is. Jimmy, if that was the case, then I apologize. I don't recall that interaction. But I must have upset you because you remember it, so it bothered you, so I do apologize, Jimmy. I think he said originally he was giving $10 out of each pipe, and then he increased that to $20. I think. I don't think good old American capitalism. I think it's capitalism anywhere in the world. But I think he's entitled to it if he's put the work in, and he's taken the punt as well, because he had no idea how good the response would be. You know, he could have been stuck. He could have been lumbered with a load of pipes. You know, if he actually has given $20 out of each pipe, that means he's given them something like $17,000. That's a huge donation, and good luck to him for that. I think that's fantastic. Cheers, Cliff. AWV. For more than 17, wow. I think everybody's doing the math and thinking what Eddie's made out of the deal. How much did he sell them for? Was it $120? $115, right. Yeah, well, I would imagine he's made somewhere between $25,000 and $30,000 on it after giving that donation. So he's done well, and good luck to him. I can't imagine he paid more than about $60 per pipe to Savinelli. Well, I'm not sure which pipes you're talking about, Daniel. This was one of them. This is the Sohn-Refberg pipe, and I've only smoked it once, and it smokes well. And the other one was this Stanwell. I think it was this one. Hey, Mike, how you doing? Yeah, I think he did very well, Eddie. I hope he makes more than 10%. Maybe you're right, but I hope he makes more. Yeah, doing well, Mike. I hope you're well too. Hope you've had a good weekend so far. that $115 was including shipping. If it was including shipping, with the duty and all that, I hope you made more than 10%. No, I understand that, but I understand it was shipping from Italy to the US, but when he sent them out, when he sold them to the people in the US or whoever he sold them to around the world, was the 115 including shipping or plus shipping? $115 total including shipping. Well, in that case, Mike, you're probably a lot closer to the truth, which makes his donation to the family even more altruistic, to be honest. Well, I don't know, maybe you know more than I do, Mike. I'm sure you do. You're in the business a lot longer, or maybe you've spoken to Eddie, but he must be making something out of it. I certainly hope he's making something out of it. Oh, Bohemian, yeah. Well, it wasn't him. He had two other people making spoof videos about it. You can ignore that rubbish. Now, Daniel, that's a good question. How do I like the Mazda compared to my Toyota? Well, the Toyota I had I still have, and in fact, I've got some good news on that front. Well, you guys know that when I went on vacation, we went in my Toyota. Myself and my wife have the same car, and we went up in mine because hers had conked out, and as we understood it, the engine was knackered. So we went up in my car, and halfway up the journey, my car started sputtering. We managed to get it repaired. It was the ignition coil, which had to be replaced. They also replaced the spark plugs, and all is good. And my car's working fine. Came home, and my son, who's in the car trade, in the car maintenance trade, he does fleet maintenance. I asked him if he could try and sort it out. He took it to one of his garages. That's my wife's one, which we thought was finished. And basically, he replaced the radiator and two coils, ignition coils, and the car's right as rain. So I've now got three cars. I've got two Toyotas and one Mazda. Now, in terms of comparing the two, it's chalk and cheese, because the Mazda is a regular saloon car, whereas the Previas were high up MPVs. And I've got to be honest, I'm a sizable chap, and when I was test driving the Mazda, I was very, very impressed with it. It drives beautifully, still does, and I love everything about it. Problem being is that I was only test driving it, and I hadn't really had the chance to acclimatise to it. And after driving it for a week or so, my back's starting to hurt, because it's much, much lower down. It's much more of a crouch for me to get in and out, and it's definitely taking its toll a little bit. So I don't need three cars. So my question is, what I do, I've got to decide which one I'm getting rid of. Either I go back to my Toyota, which I was more comfortable in, but it's not as nice a car to drive, or I sell the Mazda, which is a really nice car, and just stick with my own car. So I'm really not sure. Or I sell the Mazda and my car and get something newer myself. I'm not sure. I'm undecided. This is one of my own pipes, which I made, an egg-shaped pipe. A little bit of a curve going on there, a little bit of an S shape. And yeah, I smoke Virginia Periques, that kind of thing in it. It smokes very, very well. I will not be getting a motorcycle. I've got enough hair loss as a result of my son rocketing around London on a motorcycle. I think he's got 2 bikes now. He goes out with a lot of his mates riding, and it worries me, that's all I can say. This is the other one, which is quite similar but different. This one you can see would take a lovely sandblast. Maybe I should still get this one sandblasted. And this one I smoke just pretty much 2 blends in this, aromatics. The blend 131 from Solani, which is the whiskey blend, and McBaron's vanilla cream, but mostly the blend 131 in that one. The filters that I use are Dr. Pearl Jr. Vaughan. And the morning drives. Well, I was actually, Leo Olderpold. So he did a lot of outdoor videos. He's just now kind of starting. I sent him a package, so he did a Yabo the other day. But if you look back on his stuff, which I've started to do now because it's been a while since I looked through his channel, he's got some really nice outdoorsy kind of videos. He's got one on a motorbike, so you see a bit of motorbike footage. He's also got a fantastic video on Janssen Pfeifen in Germany, which is an amazing tobacconist. Huge array of tobaccos and pipes. That's quite a cool video. Well, they will shine up a fair bit with just carnauba wax, but they won't be as shiny as that. I mean, it really does look nice and sort of blingy as a result, but of the shellac. But the thing is with shellac is some people don't like to do the shellac because essentially it puts a plastic coating on the pipe, and a lot of people believe that the pipes breathe. I've heard a lot of both sides of the argument. I've heard some really, really world-famous pipe makers saying that it's a load of rubbish. And just do what you want, makes no difference. Well, you've heard it now from Pictures and More, so it must be true. I've got a couple of Dunhills. I actually just got one recently, and I bought this pipe stand here. This pipe stand itself is a Dunhill pipe stand. It says on it, Dunhill, made in Malaysia. I've never heard of anything Dunhill being made outside of England, but I guess it's the pipes only, whereas this stuff, I guess, is made around the world. It's got a place for two pipes and a tamper. And it came with, if I can find it, somebody asked me about this pipe recently. I haven't smoked it yet, the Northern Briars. I can't see that pipe. It came with a little Dunhill, a really nice, like a scoop-shaped pipe. Here it is. There's a nice little root briar. Very, very clean. Really good shape. It's 9mm as well. I haven't smoked it yet. And with this one, all I did was sand it and buff it, and it's come up really nice. Nice cross grain there. Dunhill root briar. And it's made in England 15, so that would make it 1975, I think. Unless it's 2015, I'm not sure. But I think it's 1975. 9mm. 1975, there you go. But just look at the drill on this thing. Right at the top there. I wouldn't be happy sending out a pipe like that nowadays. It's not to say that I wouldn't, but I wouldn't be happy with it. Well, pipes had a good run-up, Daniel, that's for sure. I was reading the Ephemeris book recently, and somebody talked about the Dunhills compared to... No, it wasn't, it was the Pipe Collector magazine. I think it was from 2009 I was reading. Maybe it was Frank Burler, I'm not sure. But he was making a comparison between... No, it wasn't Frank Burler, it was... one of the other guys that does a regular, he's I think a newspaper writer, one of those guys. Anyway, he made a comparison between Dunhill and Chariton's, and he said he would go for the Dunhills. We're talking about older Dunhills. Modern Dunhills I can't comment on. I can't comment on the old ones either, I'm no expert, but certainly the general that you read, the pre-1960, somewhere in the mid-1960s, 1963, something like that, were essentially, you could look at some of the Dunhills, and it was pot luck, the grain that you got. If you didn't get a shell finish, you got a smooth, it was pot luck. Grain wasn't an issue for them. It wasn't even on their agenda. It was about making a smoking pipe. And generally speaking, in terms of smoking pipes, the Dunhills in those days certainly seem to have been fantastic smoking pipes, whereas the Charitons were made to look pretty. They were beautiful straight grain pipes, interesting shapes and things like that. It's not to say they didn't have good smokers, but and I've seen this from more than one person saying that if out of 100 Charitons, you know, maybe 5 or 10 would be great smokers. But certainly Dunhills were more geared to be good smoking pipes. That's my understanding. I think that, Daniel, is true with many of the old companies. The same with Stanwell, for instance. You know, Stanwell pipes are now made in Italy, whereas the ones which were made in Denmark, which I think they changed somewhere around 2013, something like that, or 2010, somewhere around that. They moved over to Italy, and people generally go for the Danish ones because they seem to smoke better. Having said that, 2010, right. Having said that, this 2021, which is made in Italy, smokes very, very well. I'm very impressed with it. You know, there are differences. I've mentioned them already about the quality of the stem and how it's shaped, but other than that, it smokes very well. For Castellos, you'll need to ask Mike. I don't know. Ever the diplomat. Good answer there, Mike. Having said that, Castello Bulldog that I bought, Mike, has gone back. The tenon on it was very, very loose, and the white bar I wasn't happy with. But there you go. Anyway, I sent it back. A Devil Ants pipe. I've made something similar. I made a forward canted pipe for Josh for Pipe Grub, which I think came out very well, shape-wise. The white bar's all different, okay. Anyway, he was very happy to take it back, and it's gone back. But forward canted pipes are not my thing, simply because I don't enjoy smoking them. I find them to be counterintuitive. You know, the ball is pointing away from you, so you can't actually see what you're doing when you're lighting it. You're going to char the rim of the pipe, and you know, it's going to char up anyway, because the smoke's going to be rising up against the back rim of the pipe. So I just don't really subscribe to the whole design of it. It's not to say that I won't make them, but it's just I tend to make the pipes that I enjoy smoking myself, and pipes that just seem right to me. Well, I think it started off, I'm sure Mike will tell you, but I think it started off that the diamond ones originally were the ones which went to America, and the bar ones were for Europe. I think they're all bar now anyway. I have tried smoking reverse calabash pipes, and it didn't make any difference for me. Oh, original all white bar, okay. I thought it was the other way around. Dunhill pipes, are they handmade? Supposedly now they're supposed to be going back to their roots. And supposedly they're more handmade than they were in the past, but they've been through lots of different phases, Dunhill, and they went through a phase where a lot of the stumbles came from France already pre-shaped, and they were just finished here in the UK. It may well still be the case, I don't know, but supposedly now they're supposedly a bit more handmade, but I don't know if that's true or not. Mike might know more on that. Daniel, this is a Canadian pipe, which is essentially an oval shank, so it's a little bit flatter. In a more extreme shape is something like that. This is obviously much more extreme, but forget the stem because that's not a Canadian stem. So a flat oval shank with a short tapered stem. I'm sure Mike will correct me if I'm wrong, but that's a Canadian pipe. So a billiard bowl, style bowl, flat oval shank, short tapered stem, and a Lavat is that, which is again same kind of bowl, but with a slightly longer, not necessarily longer actually than the Canadian. Canadians tend to have longer shanks, but with a short saddle bit stem, but a round shank. Lavats generally have a round shank. So I guess you could call this one a Lovat, which is one of my very recent pipes. I think this is 188 and this is 189. And Jay Piper, how you doing? Long time no see. There you go, broken down for you, Daniel. Mike's giving it to you chapter and verse. Thank you, Paul. I think this is so far probably one of my better billiard shapes in terms of the bowl. Turned out really well, very happy with it. I know there's particular specific dimensions, things like that for billiards, for classic billiards. I think it's supposed to be very, very, very slightly forward canted, and this back side is supposed to be more sort of almost like an apple shape, and the height of the ball is supposed to be equal to the length of the shank, all that kind of stuff. But it's a billiard type. I can't say it's precise, but it's a billiard type. You interrupt away, Mike. Yes, WV, thankfully I now have 3 motors all running very well. And the biggest surprise was the third one, which was my wife's car, which we thought was kaput. But my son got it sorted. We had to fit a new radiator and replace 2 of the ignition coils. And it's now running perfectly. So I have to decide what I'm doing car-wise. I've got to get rid of at least 1, if not 2 of them. So we shall see. Oh, the motor for the pipe making. Oh, right. I don't think it's going to work out, to be honest. Managed to get it spinning, but it just isn't working. It's not something I'm going to spend any more time on, to be honest. I gave it to an electrician. He had it for a couple of weeks. Managed to get it spinning with a transformer which I had to buy, a step-down transformer. It doesn't work all of the time, and it doesn't spin true either. So it's not something I'll probably be able to use, but I really appreciate the fact that the effort that you put into it, and I haven't forgotten. And we'll still work something out, don't worry. Well, nose warmers, I've got some short-stemmed pipes, short shanked pipes, but they sell plenty of motors in the UK, but it's finding a way to attach something to it is the problem. There's no off-the-shelf arbors that you can get, that you can link up with a drill bit. You have to get them made up and stuff like that, which I have been in touch with a machining company, so I can get it done, but there's a fair bit of money involved. It's something which I should do at some point. Axminster, so yeah, there's plenty of motors. Buying motors is not the problem. It's marrying it up with a Yeah, I know WV. I appreciate that. I really do. It doesn't. I don't appreciate it any less because I haven't been able to make good use of it. I really appreciate what you tried to do. Yes, furnace fan motors, but they again not in the UK. That's the thing. Our measurements are different to the US, and I can get most sizes with the shafts of the motors, but I've yet to find one that I can actually stick an arbor straight onto it and use it. So I'm going to have to get one made up. I've spoken to all of the UK, or as many as I know, of the UK pipe makers, and they've all had the same problem. So it's not just me. We are 240 volts, yeah. And they've all had something made up in some way or another to get motors running. Yeah, but the problem with the Allen screw sets, I've tried that as well. The problem with the Allen screw sets is that then it doesn't run true, because you can never get it precise. And when you're sanding, it's got to be absolutely spinning, absolutely true, and they never do when you start making, sort of putting things together. Yes, because those Beal add-ons are designed for your measurements. You can't get them here. Unless that's something else, Mike, maybe send me some information on that if you don't mind. If those Beal add-ons are like self-centering, those grommets or whatever it is that he uses, if they are self-centering, much like a chuck, and they will clamp onto the shaft, then maybe that will work. Yeah, absolutely, Mike. I've had a quote for that. I can do it. I can get a machine shop to make me a shaft that will go straight over, an adapter that will go straight over the UK shafts. I can do that. As I say, it's something I have to get done. No, it doesn't make sense for me to be shipping motors from all around the world, and then have to make something up to make it work. I've got to get something here in the UK because the motors don't always last forever. It's got to be something that's serviceable and usable here in the UK without hassle. I just have to get down to it, and all that I think is going to come when I invest more in my workshop to make it more of a proper workshop. I do have a company that will do it for me, to make the shaft sleeve. But at the moment, truth of the matter is, when I do it, eventually I'll probably get 2 or 3 of them for different different grits. So I'm not changing the wheels the whole time. Yeah, the truth of the matter is, that is a path which I did consider, is actually using my lathe, because a lot of people do that as well. Because my lathe, I can put my chuck into the lathe direct and have that spinning. The problem is that it's side on, because the lathe is sort of going that way, so it's spinning, so that the face of the wheel is there, and I'm used to shaping with it opposite the face of the sanding wheel, and I can't do that unless I'm sort of like that. You can get lathes which the head stock swivels, so I have been thinking about that as well. I've even thought about getting an old second-hand lathe just for that purpose, and then cutting off the bed and then just using it as a motor. You're talking about a drill press. I do have a drill press, Daniel, but it's not the way I like to work. A UK drill press, that is an idea. Um, that is an idea. And somehow rig it up so that it's on its side. Yeah, that's an idea, Art. That's a good idea. I mean, I've got a drill press at the moment which is doing nothing. You see, you got a guy who's familiar with machines, it thinks out of the box. That's a good idea, Art. I have to see if that will work. I mean, it'll work, but whether it'll... it's also got adjustable speed. It's got the belts on the top, which I can adjust the speed so it's just right for what I need. I've got to give that a go. Somehow tilt it on its side. Secure it to the bench somehow. I mean, the truth of the matter is the whole thing I could take apart because it's on a... Josh. It's on a pillar, so I can take it off the pillar and then just rig it up somehow. That's an idea. Got to figure a way of rigging it up so that it's solid and robust and it's not going to jump about. I think it's Asquith pipes, Chris Asquith. He's into making all of his own tools, and when he first started, he did everything on a drill press. His drill press was his drill, it was his buffer, it was his sanding wheel, it was everything. Yeah, Art, there's plenty of lathes that swivel. I just wasn't particularly looking to invest in another lathe, but I did think about getting an old second-hand one that swivels. I mean, Axminster, they have a brand new one, which is actually quite well priced. They have one, I don't know if they have them in stock now, but they have one which swivels 90 degrees, which would be enough for about £400-500, which is not too bad. But I haven't got the room for it, that's the problem. I have thought about a metal lathe. I know Jason Mouton recently invested in one, but he says when it comes to shaping bowls, he still prefers to use a wood lathe. But when you see some of the precise shapes that you get from a metal lathe, you can see the advantage of that. And certainly when it comes to making adornments, rings, godettes, making stems, shaping stems, that kind of thing, a metal lathe is the way to go. But at the moment, it's not something I'm really looking at. Generally speaking, I'm really happy with the way my shaping is going using a wood lathe. I enjoy using a wood lathe. I think using a metal lathe will become, one in North Country, I think using a metal lathe will take some of the enjoyment out of it for me, because you're turning cogs rather than working on the wood. However, working on a metal lathe is much kinder to your muscles and your bones and everything, your joints. And certainly all the high graders, they're all using metal lathes, so certainly that's got to be the way to go ultimately. But I look at Northern Briars, Ian Walker. Okay, maybe he doesn't do those wild shapes that some people can do, but he's worked his whole career using a wood lathe, and so has Mike Billington, all using wood lathes. And I think for the type of pipes that I make, wood lathe is perfect. Yeah, Art, you're absolutely right. I mean, that drill, my first drill that I used, which I used very effectively for about a year and a half, was a Bosch drill, and it worked very well, but it was just a household drill, it wasn't a professional quality. And then that gave up the ghost. It wasn't worth repairing or anything like that. And I decided that I'm going to just buy the cheapest, cheap and cheerful one from one of these big tool companies. I think I paid less than £20 for the drill. So for £20, it does the job. And if it conks out, I buy another one for £20. And for the price of that Bosch, I can get 5 of those drills. So that was my thinking. That was my thought process. Because ultimately I want to get the motors. So I didn't see the point in investing in expensive drills. And I anyway want to change that process. But it does the job, you know. I can't complain for 20 quid. Yeah, I have spoken to him about those helix shapes, Mike, and that's something I want to learn. He's agreed for me to come up and watch him. I actually mentioned it to my wife earlier today, funnily enough. That I want to, obviously, I'm not sure now would be the right time during COVID, but at some point in time, I want to spend a couple of days there at least, which I have to just work around everything else that I do. So the timing has to be right, but I would really love to spend a couple of days up there with him and, you know, learn some of the tricks of the trade. There's actually a really nice, I haven't watched it through, I watched a couple of minutes of it. There's a video out today, or yesterday, from Chris Eldridge, and he's actually got Mike Billington, Ian Walker, and him in his workshop, and they're having a chat. It's the first time I've seen anything like that here in the UK, so I'm going to go back and watch that, but I encourage you to go and see it. It's a lovely sight to see. You know, 3 well-known English pipe makers. I hope at some point in time to be doing sandblasting, Daniel, but not yet. Myford, yeah, you do see them coming up even second-hand. They're quite expensive, Art. Cheers, dude. All the best. I think we're going to wrap up here anyway. What are we now? We're 2 o'clock in the morning. It has been a really, really enjoyable London calling tonight. Thank you very much, everybody, for taking part, and thank you for your feedback when it comes to the auction. So that auction is now going to be fixed for next Saturday night, midnight, in my usual London calling. Mike, if you're still there, I'd appreciate you giving me a shout out on this for next week. So it's midnight UK time, and I'm going to be doing a separate video asking people to spread the word so we can get the best chance of making some decent money for the family. All right, everybody. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Tony. Thanks, Josh, WV, Jeff. Thank you very much. Andrew Sorigliano, Dude Reviews, Daniel, of course, Art, Sea Smokes Pipes, Eric, North Country Fisher, Pictures and More, Jimmy Tabaki, Tom Idzinski, Todd, Tony, Tired Sys Admin. Interesting name some people dream up, isn't there? And everybody else. If I've missed your name, say hi. Paul, thank you very much. Take care and take car. 3 cars, in fact. Raymond Ero Jr. and Chad. NJ Piper. Boris the Piper. Good night. Thank you very much, everybody. I look forward to seeing you next Saturday Night Live with your wallets, please. Your pocketbooks. I'm sure I'll see you in between. Thanks very much, everybody. Catch you on the next one.